My main vehicle entry is a 2019 Mercedes C63 AMG. We fully redid the electrical system, added 2 excess power batteries in the stock location, made some major modifications to get those in there. We also had to relocate the factory fuse box and do some major wiring relocation to get this all to work in conjunction with each other. As you can see, some of the modules were relocated wherever we could squeeze them in, and it was about as tight of a fit as we could possibly get. My client pretty much allowed us whatever freedom we wanted on this car as long as we didn't make anything look too out of place. He wanted a custom yet somewhat OEM appearance, so we did that by sourcing the OEM style grill cloth to wrap the pillars in, an OEM style carpet for the sub box, and an exact match OEM leather to match the mid-base driver pods that we built. All in all, I think it came out pretty damn close to what a factory finish would be in every location. You can definitely tell that it's custom, but it doesn't really stick out too much. When it came to the OEM locations in this car, they just weren't going to cut it. The OEM mid base is on the firewall. My client really didn't like that, so I told him that I would rebuild the door panels or add pods to the door panels to give him a location that he's used to for some of his previous vehicles and other vehicles that he owns. I also told him that we would move the tweeters up into the A-pillars just to get a little bit higher than where they sit on the door panel, just to give us a little bit better sound stage in there, which in the end really paid off. There was a lot of going back and forth with him on locations of things, and when it was said and done, you know, he pretty much gave us freedom as long as we didn't make everything stick out, and it you know, didn't interfere with his driving ability or anything like that. I think I hit the nail on the head with pretty much everything in this car as far as mounting locations, and it came out great. Although it may not look like it, there was a ton of fabrication work involved with this job. I used a variety of materials, including acrylic, expanded PVC, carpet, leather, fiberglass, resin, you name it, it pretty much went into this job. There was a lot of labor involved with it, a lot of test fitting, a lot of putting panels in, taking panels out, making sure angles were correct, making sure tolerances were correct, making sure clearance was correct, making sure that when the pillars were wrapped with the grill cloth, that the cloth was still somewhat in the same direction and not pulling off to the sides. Again, it was a lot of labor, but it was worth it in the end. Our client was extremely thrilled. This guy's had cars built all over the country over the years. He's been having custom stereo systems in his cars since the early 80s, and he said that this was by far one of the best sounding that he's ever had. I took that as a major compliment, and I guess I did the right thing here. The speaker pods that you see here were the most labor intensive part of the whole job. All the test fitting, the sanding, the grinding, it was insane. They came out really nice. They blended well with the car's interior, and they don't look too much out of place. One option was to rebuild the entire door panel, but the budget did not allow for it, so we ended up going with the pods. And as you can see right there, we tried to make them as slim as possible, not stand out, not hit your leg, and it did all that. You don't even notice that they're in there. Your knee is nowhere near it when you're driving the car. My client was pretty strict with the amount of room he allowed for the woofer enclosure to take up, so we built it a little bit differently than we normally would. He also needed access to the ski port for his son's hockey bag or golf clubs when he has those in the car, so we had to leave enough room there. I made the enclosure as small as possible while still getting the correct airspace that Morel recommends. It was wrapped in an OEM style carpeting. It wasn't 110% perfect match, but it was as damn close as I could find to it. he didn't notice a difference and was happy with it in the end. This is a before and after of an Infinity that came in that was an absolute nightmare when it arrived. I cleaned everything up, made sure everything was properly mounted, secure, and safe, and also properly fused before it left. As you can see, it was a night and day difference. Here's an amp rack for a Ford Bronco. Everything labeled properly. All the wires ran through, the holes that were laser cut in it, everything labeled nicely so there's no confusion as to what goes where. An Audi I just finished up. Nice, neat, tucked away in the spare tire well. Here's a few examples of some cosmetic integration that I've done. Nothing too crazy, just simple DSP controllers, radar controllers, uh, somewhat flush mounted in OEM panels to look as OEM as possible. My laser cutter's been a huge help with stuff like this, stuff that I normally wouldn't be able to do in the past that is now possible. It's really nice. It adds a nice custom touch that the clients love. That can't be replicated. You can't do this on a router. You need a laser to be able to do stuff like this. My goal with every install is clean, neat, and serviceable. As you can see from the following pictures, XT connectors as quick disconnects, OEM mounting locations on speaker adapter plates, sub-box plates that are custom made and tell you exactly what the impedance is and what drivers are in there. As long as we can get to it, service it if need be, quickly get it out of the car. You know, it saves time. If anybody else, if a mechanic or somebody has to go in there and change a window motor or anything like that and have to pull out anything that I did, they're going to be able to accurately put it back together without wiring it out of phase or anything like that. You can't mess it up. It literally drops in just as the OEM would. I think fabrication is one of my stronger points when it comes to installing. I'm definitely nowhere near as good as several guys out there, but I've also come a long way since I started just building basic enclosures and now doing stack fab and panels with dimension to them, multiple layers, different materials, vinyl, leather, plexiglass, acrylic. Um, Having a laser cutter has been a huge help, as I said earlier, in giving us the ability to um, do stuff that wasn't possible years ago that now I can do in house and um, just knock out stuff that I would have to sub out somewhere earlier in my career, and now I can get it all done. Even making my own templates, as you see here, for this DSP controller. Just cut it on the laser and then transfer it over to the router table. It makes a huge difference. It's a big time saver. Um, Anything from uh, reproduction grills that are no longer available, as you see right now. That was for an older BMW 6 Series for the kick panel speakers that we needed something with more clearance to it. So I drew it up and got it done on the laser. This was an older Porsche grill that I actually did on the router table. And then here you can see a sub box I made for a Land Rover Defender. Just a little bit of custom flair with cup holders in it. The client actually didn't want his wife to know that he was adding a subwoofer, so I had to make it completely hidden. And then as far as some radar laser integration, here's a Redenzo controller, some pieces that I had made earlier this year. This one here was for a Jaguar, and you'll see in just a second that it was molded into the overhead console for a nice clean OEM look. I think doing small fabrication work like this is actually harder than the big jobs. It's a lot more tedious, a lot more sanding. It's got to be a lot more perfect, to blend in and look right and look OEM. I actually prefer doing this little stuff. I get more satisfaction when it's said and done, and it's stuff like this where people have to do a double take on it and say, "Wow, did somebody actually make that, or did it come from the factory like that?" It's very rewarding hearing somebody say that, or seeing the looks on my clients' faces when I get their car back to them and they're like, "Wow, that looks sick. That's everything I expected and more." So I feel like I've grown a lot over the past year, both personally and professionally. Personally, I try to make more time and get home um, to be with my family. I know in the past it was difficult. I've been in business now for 4 years, and the first 3 years I was in business, I wasn't around much because I was always working. And when I was home, I was out of it because I was either doing estimates or taking phone calls, responding to emails, something of that nature. So now I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen. So I feel like I've grown a lot, both in my personal life and my professional life over the past year. Personally, now I try to not bring work home with me. I try to make sure that I get out of work on time, to spend more time with my family. I've been in business now for 4 years, and the first 3 years I didn't get to see much of my family. And when I was home, I was either doing estimates, responding to emails, taking phone calls, stuff like that. So I'm trying to make more family time. So the past year, I've really been working on that, trying to be around more, and it's helped a lot. Professionally, I've grown a lot more as far as my abilities with laser cutting and laser engraving, and using that for more and more installs. I took Jason Kranitz's class, and that was a lifesaver. Before taking that, I mean, I was able to do some minor stuff, but nothing like I can do now. I try to use that as much as I can. It's like having another employee. Even even just you know everything. Like, we want to use it for everything. I want to use it to do a majority of the whatever I can have it do. It's more accurate than what we can do by hand. Um, the custom touches, the little stuff that we can do on installs just to make our installs stand out. I'll put whatever somebody wants on it, if they want their name, or my company's logo or whatever on it, but just to stand out. So yeah, I have come a long way with my ability in laser cutting. So the value of my role at the store, um, I wear many hats: owner, installer, salesperson, manager, um, bookkeeper, you name it. I pretty much do it, right down to scrubbing the toilets, everything. It doesn't bother me one bit. I'll do whatever I have to do. Um, I do have an employee, just one, and he learns a lot from me. He doesn't have as much experience as I do installing, but I try to show him everything I can. I know he looks up to me, as far as not only as a boss, but as a coworker and also a friend. Um, I try to show him my ways of doing things, and he has his own ways of doing things too. But we work well together. Our install styles mesh, and it works out for both of us. He tells me all the time, like, that sometimes it's nice to see the way I do things, and he tells me that he learns a lot from it, and it helps him get his jobs done faster, and that's about all we can ask for. So as far as my role in the industry and helping better other people in the industry, um, I do my best to attend every training possible. Not so much that I'm doing trainings or anything like that, but while I'm there, talking to people and networking and stuff like that. More than happy to answer any questions that I can help somebody out with. My cell phone's on 24/7. Anybody that wants my cell number, they're more than welcome to call whenever they need something. You have a question, if I know the answer, I'm more than happy to help. I'm not that guy that hides things from people or refuses to help. Whatever it is, if I can be of any assistance to anybody, that's fine. I'll take your call, whatever. I believe in one hand washes the other. I know there's a lot of times where I need help as well, and I like to be able to call people and get some good advice from people that see vehicles that aren't too common, stuff like that. I started a group on Facebook, 12-volt laser community, trying to bring lasers within our community together, sharing files, asking for advice on there, just trying to get everybody that has these tools and is in our industry together and able to network on there and make life easier for one another. So yeah, that's one of the roles I believe I play, and happy to do so. So over the next year, I'd really like to focus on bettering myself in some areas of installation. Um, I think I'd benefit from getting some more training as far as tuning cars. Can I do it? Yeah. I'm not very efficient at it. It is something that I do struggle with a little bit and second guess myself. So it would be nice to get a little more hands-on training with that, and be able to be more efficient, tune cars faster, get them sounding the best that they possibly can. When everything's installed right, you want it to sound like the install. A premium install deserves premium sound quality. So that's probably the big thing. But yeah, I'd like to get myself out to more trainings. I typically do one Knowledge Fest a year. I want to make it at least 2 to 3 a year if possible. I know it's hard with having to close up shop and stuff like that, but the benefit definitely outweighs being closed for a few days and whatnot. As far as maybe doing some shop improvements or even expanding to a bigger shop, I'm kind of tight on space as it is over here already. When I moved into this location 2 years ago, it was something I was like, oh, I will never outgrow this. And of course, here we are 2 years later, and I'm already starving for space. So I definitely need to work on that and see how I can improve and maybe find a bigger location, or talk to my landlord about possibly expanding our current building. So yeah, that's the ultimate goal over the next year, is work on that and better myself. Why do I think I deserve to be installer of the year? Basically, this industry is my life. I don't know how to do anything else. This is all I've ever done. Before I did this, I worked for a recycling company. I drove a recycling truck, and I mean, I hated it. Car audio and electronics was always just a passion of mine, and then finally back in 2007, I decided to make it a career, and I haven't looked back since. I can't see myself doing anything else. I can't. This is all I live this life. I eat, sleep, breathe car audio and electronics. It's insane. My family thinks I'm crazy. My wife thinks I'm nuts. I get home from work and here I am, and I want to, I'm always on these forums and looking up cars and watching car shows and stuff like that. And it's just it's the only thing I want to do with my life. And you know, I just strive to, every install I do, I strive to get better and better. I want everyone to be a little bit better than the last. And you know, I've come a long way since I've started, and I'm not going to stop. I won't stop till I get to the top. And making the top 12 this year was a huge accomplishment for me. I made top 50 a couple times, but to actually get top 12 this year, that was yeah, I impressed myself, and I'm thankful for it. Thank you for everybody that voted for me, and all I can say is let's see where it goes. Even if I don't get installer there this year, I'll be back. I'm not stopping. I won't stop until I get to the top. So if I don't make it this year, we'll see you next year.